Welcome to the MD Podcast, where we dig into what's actually working or not when it comes to scaling businesses with the people who've been there. Today's guest, I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself, so feel free to take it from here.
Well, thank you, Jason. I'm honored to be here. So my name is Russell Lundstrom, commonly referred to as the Marchitect, which I think is the missing role in business, kind of as the marketing architect. And to kind of give you an idea of what that is, simply is if you were building a house, you would go get, the land, the financing, get all that set up. And then you would go hire your architect, because the architect is what takes the picture out of your brain and says, hey, we have all these materials and we're going to build this type of house. And then you can go hire the general contractor, plumbers, electricians, and drywallers. And business is no different. Only the problem is there's no architects that really exist out there. The business owner just says, hey, I got this vision to build my house. And then oftentimes they'll go hire an agency, or even worse, they'll hire the plumber or electrician and say, hey, go build my house. And they wonder why it doesn't work. So that's me. I've started over 35 businesses. I've been doing this for over 35 years, always in the role of marketing. Been really fortunate to be on the cutting edge of, the internet and technology. And so if I can help, let's do it.
I love that. I actually really enjoy that part of it, because I do find where we get called into certain businesses, they're siloed in all the different areas. They're not talking to each other, and they don't have an overarching leader to keep the messaging together to be on brand.
100%. Yeah.
It's funny because I was actually looking at doing marketing operations versus I'm more of qualitative or quantitative than the qualitative marketer. So I like that idea.
Yeah.
There's an art to bring in people who can develop certain types of messaging, can work with, graphics to get the right type of visuals for advertising. But then there's that process that it needs to follow in order to get the end result, and be structured.
Yeah. What kind of house are you building?
Exactly.
Do you want an old-fashioned colonial, or are you building an adobe?
Yeah.
Right. Like, someone needs to decide, and the leader, the visionary, the founder has that vision. But if they're not able to clearly express and talk and detail that vision, how is the contractor going to be able to be successful in building that?
They're not. Right.
They're not.
Great point. So as a, for business owners or leaders in the space who are looking to develop out, make sure that they're able to scale their business and stay on track with the blueprint, which they probably don't have. How would you advise them to go about the first steps of getting to the point where they have something in place to follow?
Well, so great question. I mean, automatically the good old fashioned vision, mission, and values come into play, right? Because for instance, if I'm talking to a small business owner, say they're doing about $1 million in revenue, they're a B2B SaaS startup. I need to know, if I'm coming in and helping them put together their marketing plan and so that their CMO can execute on the marketing plan, I need to know, what is their exit strategy? Are they building this business to sell to private equity? Are they building this business as a family legacy business they want to pass on for generations? Or is this business, just like a lifestyle cash machine for them? Because each one of those scenarios is going to have an entirely different marketing plan. So it starts at that top level of like, hey, what's the vision? And then we can start chunking it down and saying, okay, look, private equity is the goal. I want to sell this thing in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you have to say, okay, who's the buyer? And what are the value drivers in the business that they're looking to buy from you? Because the only reason anyone buys a business is it's doing something or has something you want, right? So in the case of B2B SaaS private equity, it could be the MMR, but it could also be tech, right? Like in this modern AI world, maybe they're looking for a technical advantage where sales don't matter and revenue doesn't matter. The tech is the value driver in the business. So therein is a different marketing plan than the person who's looking for, the MMR.
Was it essentially working backwards from the end result, which, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that should always be done, right? Like whether it's to sell the business or you're trying to generate revenue from a product, you need to know what the end consumer is looking for, so that way you can drive the value prop to them.
Yeah, and that funnels all the way through marketing, right? Like your customers have a problem they're trying to solve as well.
And in marketing, I've come to find, because people talk about and they niche down, but I find that the same process, in a sense, almost every time applies. Where if you do this, you're going to be able to message, you're going to know who your consumer is, you're going to know who you're selling to, you're going to know your value prop, and you're going to provide the solution to the problem they're seeking. Like the idea I hear of guys going out there and talking about all these different ways of doing things or leveraging different tools, it's like the four P's still apply regardless of who and what you're working with.
Yeah,
Is what I
there's
found.
Yeah, no, I think I learned about this or started thinking about it around 2018. Like, what is the periodic table of business growth? Like, there
Mm-hmm.
are elements that, regardless of your business, regardless of your product, regardless of your customer, there are elements that are conducive to success. And if you don't do these elements, you will not be successful. And if you do them, there's no guarantees, but you're stacking the odds of favor in your success in your favor. Or
Is there
however that
anything
makes
in,
sense.
is there anything in particular that you found that is a must,
Yeah.
or business
Oh,
should be looking at?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So again, I wanted to, because the problem is when you have a small business, 1 to
Mhm.
5 million in revenue, you have limited resources, you have limited time, you have limited money, you have limited people, and you have limited opportunity cost. If you go down a marketing path, take SEO as a great example, that's a generally long-term marketing strategy. And if you're a small, scrappy startup, you maybe don't have the opportunity or the runway to allow that marketing strategy to be successful. So you have to pick and choose your strategies based on where you're at in the growth cycle. And so I started asking myself, and I have to keep things simple. And so if you have limited resources, and in today's world, especially with the advent of AI, you have literally unlimited opportunities for marketing, right? Everything from, going to the extreme. You can fly a banner behind an airplane. That's marketing and that works. Or you can use, some ultra sophisticated AI lead gen thing. But how do you make those decisions? And that's where the friction comes in, and that's where the mistakes are made. So I had to ask myself, like, what are those fundamental principles that allow you to make those decisions as a business leader and a marketing leader? And I arrived at what I call the master marketing equation. And again, it's a game of probabilities. Like, I can't go to any business owner and say, if you do this, you will get this result, right?
No
So
guarantees.
I need to do my homework and stack the odds of success. And so this master marketing equation, I look at it like an algebraic equation where there's 5 variables, and if you solve for those variables, you you have the highest probability of success. And so this I'll say it out loud first, the equation, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, and we'll kind of explore the theoretical ideas behind it. But the master marketing equation is RM plus RP plus RTP. Those are your 3 variables. And we've all heard this, but we need to think it through a little bit. And so let me say it. If you show the right message to the right person at the right time and place, chances are you're going to have marketing that works, right? Now, so those are the 3 variables: right message, right person, right time and place. And the time and
Mhm.
place are the strategies, right? If you're selling to doctors, they might be on Facebook, but maybe not, right? So the strategies are dependent 100% on the right person, who you're talking to, who you're
Mhm.
selling to. The messaging is also 100% dependent on the right person. So in that equation, I have found this, I've been using it for 5 years, and it solves almost all marketing problems. You need to start with who is the person we're trying to market to, right? So again, we'll use our theoretical B2B SaaS company. They could be selling to the CTO, the person who's making the tech decisions, buying the software. Another decision maker is the financial officer, and then maybe the final decision maker is the CEO. Well, you can't sell to all 3 of them. The messaging is different to all 3 of them because they all have different problems they're trying to solve. So you need to start and clearly identify, okay, the final decision maker, let's say in this case is the CEO. Well, that CEO is trying to solve a problem for their business that your software would do. And that messaging is very clearly directed at the CEO. It's not the same language that the CTO would use, right? And they have different
Mhm.
problems and different solutions and all that stuff. As well as on the third variable, the right time and place, the CEO is going to different places to solve that problem. They might be going to different peer groups. They might be reading different email newsletters. They're reading different websites. They have different social feeds than the CTO would. And so each one of these variables have dependencies that once you solve for them, now everything becomes pretty clear. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I follow. So it leads me to an example, the scaled down approach where we use cold email to reach out to potential
Mhm.
prospects. So one of the things that I
Mhm.
did, pulling the list, is that the language of the email is based on essentially the industry and the role. So
Mhm.
one of the things we like marketing, if it's someone who's a marketing director or CMO or something, it's gonna be like marketing leaders or marketing experts or CMOs like you are doing this within your industry. Where if it's a CEO, it's gonna be founders, CEOs, and it's gonna be more specific and tailored that messaging to them. Now the thing that I'm interested here too is like, how do you know the right time and place?
Good question. So, so again, like in the cold email outreach, it all
Mm,
begins and ends with building the list. You have to have the people to send to, right? So that's your all your demographical information. You know, their title is CEO, founder, whatever of a certain size
yeah.
company, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
It's the easy one to do because that information's available.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's amazing how many business owners don't even have the basic list built,
Oh,
right?
I
They
know.
don't come in and they don't have what
We see it.
their dream 100 clients, for example. And then I think this is indicative of just the internet age. I hate to
Mhm.
date myself, but I was doing direct marketing before fax machines, where you had to, when you're doing a direct mail piece, and you're literally physically mailing out
Mhm.
100,000 mailing pieces. You spend a tremendous amount of time finding a good list. You do a tremendous amount of research into the messaging, and you don't guess. Whereas today it's so easy, and now Meta makes it. They'll build, write, and distribute your ad there without any thought. And so what's happened is people have skipped over this customer research piece, right?
It well,
To a large degree.
big time. And I think what they're doing, from what I see, is and we do this too. Is we put our bet that the machine learning is going to get a sample size large enough to where it can identify those users who are going to convert, and then find those
Hmm.
audience pools of similar users.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
On Meta, on Google, but when you
You
give
mean
them
like using AI to build out your avatars?
not even that, or yeah, you could do that. But I'm saying is like I have like one of the things I got affiliate sites. One of them's a furniture business. I go and then I connect my furniture business through Shopify to Meta, and then I go, okay, Meta, I got a furniture store. You go find people to buy these
Oh,
beds, pillows,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
mattresses, and then that in which we used to do where we'd have a lot of guardrails and be like, oh, this age, this range, this income level, they like these magazines. Is now it's an open kind of a broad open response to like go and you figure it out now. Um,
Yeah.
it
So oh, go ahead.
or so that I actually like that because it makes it a lot easier. But still, knowing and going back to you identifying the people, place, and time, I feel like the online's gotten a little easier. But still, I mean, direct mail I see coming back a little bit. You have outdoor
Hmm.
advertising. Law firms are doing this where they're sending out, they're doing direct mail to chiropractors and stuff. You have bigger businesses, SaaS business catalogs going out trying to identify the people in that research. So if you're someone say outside of that, how are you finding them and identifying the time when there's not when the event may be I have a problem, but I'm not exactly sure of the solution.
Okay. So again, we'll use our example company of about $1 million revenue B2B SaaS company.
Okay.
If I were going in, what I would do is I would say, look, you're at 1 million in revenue, meaning you have clients, right? And I've done this hundreds of times with businesses, but basically I would say, hey, look, let's go put all your clients in a spreadsheet. And then let's put in the next column, here's the profit you made off of them, or the revenue you made. And then in the next column, put in, here's the profit you made. Because every business has this. It's a truism in the world, is this 80-20 principle.
Mm-hmm.
We all have those customers that, we have 20% of our customers generate 80% of our revenue. And it's converse too, like 20% of our customers generate all of our headaches and all of our problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can identify who are the top 20% clients in your business that are generating 80% of the profit, not revenue, now we can target those people and say, okay, if we have limited resources that we're going to invest in marketing, it makes sense that we're going to target those people, right? We want more of them. We don't want more of the customers that maybe we make a ton of revenue on, but they're so needy that we don't make any profit on. Right? Marketing agencies have this problem in spades, where they may have a big client and they make a ton of revenue on them, but because they're so needy and have so much requirements, they don't make any profit on it. So let's go find the 80-20 of profit and identify that as the ideal customer profile. Now we can start zeroing in on that and saying, what do those companies have in common? What are the demographics they all have in common? What are the psychographics they all have in common? And even better yet, to answer your original question from a few minutes ago, how do you identify the right time and place? Well, you go to those customers and you do customer research, and you basically, I have a whole process for this, but you basically have a third party. Don't do it yourself, because you want to have honest feedback, not what they think you want. But you basically ask them and say, hey, look, when you decided to do business with XYZ company, what was the problem you were trying to solve? And we get their words, not our words. And we record this, we transcribe it, and now we have marketing content that's gold, right? Mm-hmm. And then part of that conversation, the question that tells you where, is you say, when you were trying to solve this problem, where did you go to solve it? Did you go to trade shows? Did you talk to different peer groups? Are you reading certain websites? Are you listening to certain podcasts? Like, what resources did you go to try to solve this problem? And if you interview in a B2B scenario, it'd be smaller case or sample size. You maybe have 10 to 15 of these interviews. But if you find 9 out of the 10 all got their problem solved at these trade shows, now you better be at those
now
trade
you're going
shows.
to a trade show. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if 9 out of 10 of them said, well, I was driving down the street and I saw this billboard, you better have a billboard, or whatever the answer is. But the problem I see most businesses do is the founder of the business and the marketing professionals have an idea of where the people are and going, but they don't know. They're not asking the question.
No. Surveying. That's a big thing that I feel a lot of people overlook.
Yeah, survey in an e-commerce, or if you have a high transactional volume business, you use a survey. If you have a B2B type business where you don't have a tremendous amount of volume, you got to do these interviews.
Yeah.
And if you do a good interview, you'll answer your questions. And now you have a really clear path of clues, success leaves clues, as to how to move forward in your marketing.
Those are great points, because a lot of times when we're hired, it's always find new clients. And you're like, okay, well, can we look at your client list? In some cases, they say, no, you ask them to do a survey. Oh, we don't want to do a survey. We don't want to bother our clients. But they're missing out by not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, what is like, you've been in marketing for a while, and you get a high quality MQL into your pipeline, and you're doing the qualification sales call, the setter call. The biggest compliment your marketing team could get is, yeah, I saw your ad and it's like you're reading my mind. Yeah. Right? When you can dial in your marketing to that degree, you've really done something.
Yeah, and that consumer feedback is so important. And I
think
the biggest thing, or one of the things to really highlight, is what you said, is to get honest and pure feedback. Because a lot of times, I learned this in it was a psychology class I did in grad school, and they were saying, like, you don't want to skew your data by asking directed questions. And I was like, wow, this is hard. This is hard to find the right questions.
Well,
To,
otherwise you're just guessing, right? And we want to
well,
minimize the
you're
guessing.
leading them. You're like, oh, are you looking for this to
Yeah.
solve this solution? They're like, yes. Like that's, and then like, no, you're missing. You're missing like to get the real feedback.
Yeah. So do you know Ryan Levesque? Have you ever heard of Ryan
No, I
Levesque and the
haven't.
ask
I haven't.
method? So I learned this from him, but when you're doing your customer research, you can't ask people what they want, right? Like, well, when you're looking for a new CRM for your business, what are you looking for? They maybe have a rough idea
They don't really
of
know.
what they want,
Yeah.
but they don't know. I mean, I can't even tell you what I want for dinner tonight,
Right.
right? Like that's the age-old question in my house is what the hell's for dinner? But what people can tell you is what they don't want, right? Like I
Oh,
can tell you I don't want Mexican food because I had it last night, and I
start
don't want
narrowing down.
hamburger because I had it the night before. So
Process of
when you're doing
elimination.
your
Yeah.
customer research, you always phrase it in, I don't want to say the negative, but you focus on the problems. You say, hey, when you're trying to solve this problem for your business, what is it that you're frustrated with? What are the struggles that you're trying to overcome, or what are the problems you're trying to solve? And only by identifying those can we then present a solution that solves those problems. And it may highlight a bunch of opportunities and things that they realize, oh, you know what? I did want that.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great point. I don't think it's leveraged enough from all the companies I talk to of executing that correctly or even doing it at all.
No, nowhere near. Nowhere
And
near.
even when I was working for Disney on a team, and we had brought in a research firm to do stuff, and they were asking some questions, but they weren't asking them in that way. Because I remember looking at it at the time, being fresh out of one of those classes, and I was like, "Wait a minute, you guys are kind of skewing them." And the response was, This is the direction that your leadership wants us to go with it." And I was like,
That's
"You're not
just
finding
it.
anything out."
Businesses,
Like,
yeah. And every entrepreneur out there has an idea of what they think their product solves for people. And so all their marketing and all their messaging is around that idea. But it's
yeah,
their idea. It's not the customer's idea. And when you
yeah,
do effective marketing, you're solving the customer's problem, not what you think the customer's problem
right.
is.
Yeah, that's a big point. And it's interesting you say that because there've been a lot of conversations I've had, especially with engineers, where this is what our product does. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's great. What solutions does it provide? It provides this. So then they'll message it in a way no one understands. Like if you look at a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
SaaS companies, I'll go to them and I'm pretty savvy. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. I went
Yeah.
to your page and I don't know what you're doing. And they're like, oh, well, it does this, this, and this. Okay. And then after talking to them, I'm able to get the idea of what they're doing and be like, oh, and provide that active feedback. And then they're like, yeah, that's what I do. And I'm like, okay, well, let's put that up there so people understand what's going on. And then let's talk to some more people and see what they think about it. No, but that's
And is it actually a problem people are trying to solve?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Especially now
the
the way things move
history's
so
littered.
fast.
Yeah, history's littered with better mousetraps that no one knows about because they don't know how to communicate and
Yeah.
get it out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many. And I watch a new AI thing pop up every day now where it's like, oh, we
Yeah.
solved this. And guess what? You only have to pay once for it and it'll do it forever. And you're like, oh, that's great. We'll be obsolete in 2 weeks. So it's a good.
Yeah, well, so that's a good point on AI and marketing is, I mean, we see it all the time, right? Like every day there's a new AI
Yep.
tool to help with marketing. And they're all useful to a degree, but my first opinion on the matter is like, don't get embedded with anyone right now. It's way too early in the game. Um, and then two is like, does it actually solve a problem or is it just creating more work? Because while AI is positioned to be an efficiency thing, the good example is, a year or two ago, we saw all these posts on LinkedIn and Facebook and everything like, oh, I just spinned up 200 SEO blog articles in 15 minutes. Well, whoop-de-doo, right? All you've done is polluted the internet with more content that Google has to now search through and index to show still quality results in their search results. And so now there's all these, like the newest thing is all these multi-agents and like N8N and
Mhm.
voice flow and Flowwise, where, hey, you can spin out your whole month's, a year's worth of social media content. Well, if everyone is doing that and everyone is just, I saw a comment this
Value's
morning, I
gone.
don't
Yeah.
remember where, but it's like all social media posts are now just AI generated content. It becomes worthless.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna
It's
start seeing penalties where your content's not going to get distributed if it's AI generated and doesn't provide any value.
the value is always going to be a big thing, depending on the business. Like if there's value there, and a part of that value is entertainment, and AI can create a lot of garbage where some of it will have some entertainment to kind of keep people around. Like you're watching this, I don't know if you've seen the Yeti videos running around
Oh
where
yeah.
they're, it's like,
But and
this is
what's
good
killing
now.
me, yeah, it's not a business.
No, it's a
It'll
wave.
have its 15 minutes of fame, just like the babies that lasted about 10 days.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it was cute and it got huge virality, but it's already kind of done. Like you're
Yeah.
not going to watch another baby video.
No.
And so the Yetis and the Sasquatches, same thing, right? Like we're trying to build businesses here that last for the long time
Yeah.
and are sustainable. And these fashionable virality things,
They're quick and
they may
gone.
work and get you some exposure, but is it going to get you a customer who's ready to write you a check?
That's always, that goes back to influencer marketing.
Yeah.
You got to pay
Well,
them
and
ten
and
thousand
and
dollars
so yeah,
to
another
maybe get one
marketing,
customer. Yeah.
a really important marketing concept that a lot of marketers don't appreciate as much as they should is where on your buyer spectrum are you marketing to?
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, again, with our B2B company, there are customers out there who right now, today, if you put the right message in front of them, are ready to write a check. They
Yeah.
have a burning problem they need to solve. But there's also those people out there that are like, their boss came to them today and said, hey, you know what? It might be a good idea if we solve this problem. They have to do research. They got to make a million decisions. And, they're way at the top of the funnel. And again, if you're a small, scrappy startup, you don't have a ton of resources. You better not be doing marketing that someone needs to make 100 decisions before they
Right.
buy,
Yeah.
right? Like, so the viral stuff, the doing just exposure marketing and awareness marketing, yeah, it brings a lot of people in, but they have to make so many decisions before they can actually buy. I'm not sure your business has the runway to survive that.
Right. And I love getting clients who only want to do awareness because it's the most easiest thing to get views of something through paid
Yeah.
media.
Well, that's
I,
one-to-many marketing, right?
and usually it's a bigger company who has a percentage of budget that they're just trying to maintain or to generate awareness, so that way they got some more cold audience to feed into their lower
Yeah.
funnels.
And I,
And
I
I like
can't
those
speak
because
to
it's
that.
easier. I find those easier than trying to get people to actually convert. Getting people to
Yeah.
convert is like, there's a real art in that, but putting content out to just get in front of people, it's
Yeah.
easy.
It's easy, and you have to have a certain type of business that's what they need.
Yeah. Coca-Cola,
Right. But
right?
if you're a small $1 million startup and you got to meet payroll next week,
Nope,
you
not
need
gonna work.
customers today, and
Yeah,
awareness marketing is not the way to do that.
yeah, yeah,
You need a direct funnel that gets you high quality MQLs today that your salespeople can close within the window of time.
yeah, yeah. Well, awesome. No, a lot of good information, some great nuggets. And where can people connect with you or learn more about what you're doing?
Um, I would say like the biggest resource I have that can help people is probably my YouTube channel at Marketing Plan Formula. I'm not doing it for any reason other than it's an archive of my 35 years of experience
Oh yeah,
and working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different businesses. Um, so I just kind of archive everything on that channel, and how to do a blueprint, how to do the customer research, how to do all this stuff, so that when I'm working with this is how I use it. When I'm working
mm-hmm.
with a new client, I say, hey, you need to go do your customer research and do your 80/20. Go watch this video.
Yeah,
Here's how
content's
to
there.
do it. Go do the work, come back to me, and then we'll figure it out.
Nice,
So it's
awesome,
probably just the YouTube is the best place to go.
awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for
No,
having me. Hope it was
yeah, no problem.
valuable.
It was, yeah. All right. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man.